Cafe. My name is Belinda Dubston and you are here with me. Thank you for being here. Wonderful to have you here for our weekly I Ching forecast for the week commencing the 26th of January. As usual, before we get stuck into this week's forecast, let's cast our minds back to last week. We had Hexagram 55, abundance. We worked with this idea of tapping into abundance consciousness, the harvest, okay, coming to fulfillment, okay, something coming to a sense of achievement, a sense of success, and working with those two interesting changing lines, finding the hidden Lord, remember that, piercing through the veil of darkness to see the star, to see clearly the connection that's really, really important. Plus, understanding how when we achieve something internally, in our family, in our home, in our immediate circle, our job is to reach beyond that and connect beyond that to people beyond our own environment, and to reach out and to do the work of expanding into the connections with others to prevent being isolated and alone for a cycle of time. Plus, we had Hexagram 22, grace. Okay, we were working on understanding how to turn the frog into a prince while tapping into abundance. Okay, making things look beautiful, taking the inherent value, okay, the prince, and making him look the way he's supposed to look, not like the frog. Okay, so we were doing some self-work this past week, thinking about how we present things, how we present ourselves to the world, and not trying to make us look different to what we are, but really just amplifying the value that's already there. All right, if anything came up for you, do a prince arrive in whatever shape or form, okay, do share a comment. All right, this week, our first hexagram for this week, the last weekly forecast for January, is hexagram 48, the well. Okay, the well is a beautiful hexagram that is a structure. Okay, we think about the well as being an inherent structure that allows us to tap into the underground spring. And that when a new town or a village is established, the most important thing is where's the water, okay? And the whole village and town is then built around where the well is. It's a center point. It's a focus of establishing the structure. And what it does is it's a vehicle, it's a structure that allows us to tap into resources, right? Now, there might be lots of different things happening with our well that we need to pay attention to, right? Where the well is working or where the well is not working well or at all. And we have one changing line, which I'll get into shortly, that'll help us with that. But this hexagram really is about the structure we use to tap into the inexhaustible supply of resources, whether that's energy, the infinite energy, whether that's the resources in your community, whether that's resources within your team and your business network. What are these resources that you are needing to tap into? Because the inexhaustible supply, we pull it up, we use the well to pull that water out of the ground, and that goes to water the people and the animals and the fields. It sustains life. It's like in a business, cash flow is life. You don't have cash flow, you don't have a business, right? And it's then, what is the instrument we could use to tap into not just a little pocket of cash, but a flow of cash? Okay, so I'm not using business examples here, but it helps you understand this idea of what might the well be for you this week. Where is your attention being refocused on the structure and instrument you are using to tap into this supply? Now, for you, it might be your personal structures in life. Are they working? Are they giving you access to energy and connection and meaning and flow and abundance? From a business point of view, is your methodology, your system, your business model, okay, whatever this well represents, is this giving you access to the inexhaustible supply? Is it plugging you in and the water just, it's just available? And when you need it, you use the bucket and you pull it up. Okay, it's not tapping into a geyser. It's just wild. It's a structure. You're tapping into something that's already there. And then when you need it, you just send down the bucket and off you go. Obviously, that's a very old school way of thinking about a well. It's a symbol that's very ancient and sits within our consciousness. You could also think of any kind of technological device, or you push a button, or you hit a remote control and beep, up comes the water. Okay, same idea. Now, as we work with this, as we tap into the inexhaustible supply, we do have a changing line, a challenging changing line in line 2. All right, so the picture created with line 2, if we look into this well, right, we look into our well and we see that the well is not being used. And there's a couple of fish in the bottom of the well who shouldn't be there. The well's not for fishing, okay? It's for fresh water, for consumption, for farming. And we see the bucket in the well's got a crack in it, so even if we caught the fish, we couldn't get them out. So there's a problem here, okay? And the problem is that there are good resources. The water is clear, drinkable, quality, but something about this well is not being used, okay? It hasn't been looked after. It hasn't been cared for. And so now what the well is being used for is to try and catch fish, which we can't do well either. So there's an inherent problem with our structure, with our methodology, with something in our lives that gives us access to this water. And it's come about because we have great resources, great skills, the wonderful water, but they're not being used. Okay, and if they're not being used, they can't create value. You might also see that this idea of the well is not about you personally not using the water or not having invested in looking after the well, but that it's in your environment. Maybe you work for a company where there's something that has fallen into disrepair because no one's really paying attention to unlocking it or using it, something that needs to be solved. So this changing line says we need to pay attention to wherever there's something in our well that's not working, not flowing. Look to this aspect. Look to where there are resources that are not being used, that have gone stagnant, that have fallen into disrepair, and people just couldn't be bothered anymore to use it. If you're in a business and you have something that's not working, people are not saying yes, okay, have a look at how this symbol might tie to that problem. Where is the offering there, but it hasn't been maintained, it hasn't been looked after, it's not really what people need anymore. It doesn't use the right resources, and so it's not connecting. It's not connecting with the market. People don't want it. So there's something here that we are needing to do the work, right? Tapping into and understanding. We have this wonderful water, fresh and clear, but we've got work to do to tap into it. And we start by recognizing where things have fallen into disuse, where we haven't invested enough time, and where we need to do some work to change that, to tap into that inexhaustible supply that really wants to help us. It really wants to nourish us. Think about our annual hexagram of nourishment. There is work for us to do in tapping into the things that nourish us. And something here in the structure, something here in the method, the approach, the structure, the network that we are connected to, because a well can also be a network connecting people together. Something here is not working. And that is what we need to pay attention to this week. Okay. Our second hexagram for this week. Ironically, as we round out the end of January, our last hexagram for this month is where we started the month. Hexagram 39, obstruction. Okay. I love these synchronicities. Cycles upon cycles, connections and loops. And here we have it, our last hexagram for January ties to our first hexagram for the whole of January, 39, obstruction, the boulder in the road. Okay, something is blocking us from moving forward. Now, when we have a one changing line, what that often gives us is a very strong, clear view of how that changing line is working, because it's just a main hexagram, a changing line, and the outcome. And usually you find that the changing line and the outcome are very similar because one leads to the other. It's almost like they're parts of a story. So we have 39, obstruction, the boulder in the road, an obstruction, a hindrance, a challenge that's in front of us, an inability to move forward the way we were, that we need to go around the obstacle, find new ways of getting to where we need to go. And so this boulder, all right, cannot be moved by force. We can't throw our shoulder into it and just will it out the way. We have to find a new way around it. And part of that is accepting the difficulty, accepting the hindrance, accepting the injury. Okay, so this often can relate to limping as a symbol, okay, having an injury and being impeded in some way from moving forward in the way you used to. And what we do is we accept the obstacle and we find ways around the obstacle. Okay, we find other ways of using helpers, of using people, of using other things to help us to get to the next step. So if we hook this back to our changing line, perhaps with these fishes, okay, and the bucket that's leaky, okay, part of the way we deal with this is we see the obstruction and we find ways around the obstruction, okay. There's a new creative approach required where we think differently, we pivot our thinking, and we use helpers, okay, we use the resources in that bucket the best we can. We use the resources available to navigate around the obstacle and we move on, okay. That is how we maximize the focus of the week. How we change our thinking, and by changing our thinking, we change our reality. Right, we can do this. Who knows what awaits us in February? Every month is interesting. Every week brings us a new facet of learning. Keep those comments coming. I love those comments. I can't always reply to every comment, but I love reading them. And I just think that the community coming out of this is fantastic. And I love hearing stories of how you have worked with the I Ching, how it's brought you insight, because you're working with it and you are going to get the results and the rewards by putting in the effort using the information that you receive. Thank you so much for being here with me. If this was valuable, hit the like button, the bell, you know what to do, subscribe, blah, blah, blah. And I will see you very soon for our monthly overview for February. What awaits us in the month of love? Let's see. Thank you so much. Until then, take care.